Hey guys, I'd like to make one of these single arrow broadhead quivers for you. Show you how to do it. They're real handy. Just meant to slip in there like that and you hold on to it with your hand. It's a way to have an arrow at the ready all the time while you're out hunting or whatever you're doing. And it just keeps it safer for you. They're not too hard to do. First thing I'll do is I'll show you the template that I use to cut the leather out with. Then we'll get the leather cut out and move on from there. So here we go. Okay guys, to make this template, you need to trace your own broadhead. We're gonna a little bit wet mold it at the end so it'll give you a really nice fit. Trace the broadhead that you have, and then you're gonna go 1/4 of an inch extra around the outside for stitching. And then of course you could fold it over however you want to do it to make it double like that. And then the next thing that you'll do is you'll just take that and put it on your piece of leather. This is tooling leather. It's a little bit thicker, a little stiffer. And then take that tooling leather and just lay that on there and trace out your pattern. And so we'll get that cut out. We'll get that cut out for you, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, now the next thing we're gonna do is get some contact cement on here. We're only gonna put it just on these edges where the stitching is gonna go. So we'll just, this is what I'm using for that. There may be other things you can use. We could just try to clamp it together and go with marking the stitches and stuff, but this is, it's a lot easier because it won't dance around on you while you're trying to work on it. And so these brushes are pretty wide for this, so I've been using a Q-tip. Get that on there. Oops. Get it on there just like that. Oops, a little bit more. That's sloppy. Okay, you gotta let that contact cement dry for about 15 minutes or so, then you can fold it over and get it glued together. You gotta be real careful to get it lined up good. Once it starts to stick, it won't be easy to move around, so I'll try really hard to get this lined up as good as I can before I press on it. All right. Okay, so that's all pressed together. That's gonna stay in place pretty good. Okay guys, it's time for the next step. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to come out with something like that for our stitching. Kind of what makes it look good is if these lines are nice and straight, if the holes are evenly spaced. You can make your own line with a straight edge, poke the holes however you want to. What my method is gonna be is I have this tool here that'll kind of find the edge for me. And then I've got this little tool here that I can use to keep them evenly spaced. And then I'll use this 5/64 bit after I have the holes locations marked and make sure it's all through nice so that the stitching goes easy. So that'll be the next thing that I do. All right, so now we have our sheath with the holes drilled in it with this little 5/64 bit. If need be, I usually go through with a little awl and open those up just a little, just so I can see them better. The hole's all the way through. And then what you have to do is, we've got a stitching pony here to hold it. It wouldn't be necessary exactly, but this allows me to use 2 hands to work on the stitching. It makes it quite a bit easier. So I'll just snug that in there so that it kind of holds. And so I'm using this artificial sinew to stitch with. It works really good. And then also I've got a needle like that on each end, a little bit blended tip at each end of the sinew string. And so what I'll do is I'll just start in and get this pulled through. Sometimes you almost need another hand, but find the center like that. And then you're just going to go through each hole twice and do that all the way around. All right, so I stitched it all the way around to the last hole, and then I came back through the last two holes again to kind of lock it in place. And so then the last thing to do there on that stitching is to take this up out of here, and then you don't have to leave it very long. Just cut those off kind of short there, and then you could just burn them, and they'll see if I can get that so you can see it good. And then I'll just go into a little ball there. Just like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to soak this in water and make it so we can put our broadhead in there and kind of mold it to shape. You don't have to do that, but it makes it look to me a little bit neater. So that's what we're going to do. So next thing I'm going to do is soak this, and we'll put the broadhead in there. Okay, so I've got my broadhead sheath out of the water. It's soaked up really nice. And so all I need to do, I'll also have my broadhead wrapped with some plastic to just prevent it from getting rusty if it should happen to get too wet. And so then just going to open that up and get that broadhead in there. Put it in there as far as it'll go. And then just try to mold that. It's not a real big shape, but try to mold that around there. I've also got it kind of helps a little bit. It's a burnishing tool, but you can kind of rub that along the edges and try to make that a little bit more defined like that. And I think it'll help it kind of lock in there a little bit better. Do that on the other side too, just a little bit, just to help that leather mold around the broadhead. There you go. And you can see on the finished one, it doesn't stand out a lot, but it does help, and it does help kind of grab that broadhead when you put it in there. So what I'm going to do is just let it dry, and then we'll get back at it. Okay, so we gave the sheath overnight to dry. Looks to be dry. We're just going to pull it off of there and set the broadhead aside. It looks like it came out really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of neat's foot oil on there to protect it and give it a little bit nicer color. And then we'll use this burnisher to work on the edges just a little bit. So yeah, neat's foot oil is what I'm going to use on it. So, and I'll probably just put one coat on it for right now, but you can put actually many coats on it if you want to. Just to kind of speed this up a little bit so you can see what's going on. That color that it has right now will lighten up just a little bit as it dries. So, and I like that color. So you might want to, as it lightens up, you might want to put a little bit more on. So this burnisher, you wouldn't have to have one like this, but it's got several different places on here where I can work on these edges and get them just a little bit more. We've trimmed them so they weren't sharp, but This kind of rounds them over a little bit, gives them just a little bit more finished look. Do that, get these edges too. There's some smaller places in there. Anyway, work it over till you're happy with the way it looks. And if it's not what you'd like for color and want a little bit more of that neat's foot oil, just go ahead and put it on. So yeah, it looks like a good fit. So last thing I have to do is put a cord through here and tie it on the limb. I'll do that for you. All right, that was fun. That turned out pretty good. I've got it mounted on here now. I did make a last minute change that I don't usually do, but I got thinking, I've got this bungee cord here, just little small stuff that I bought for arm guards, and it works really good for that. And it just dawned on me that that might be a little bit better holding it on there than tying a piece of leather on there, because the leather slips up and down a little bit. And so this actually does. And what I did was, when I tied it on up here where I could pull it pretty snug, and then when I slid it down here, it's on here really well. So I like that. And yeah, Broadhead fits in there real nice. And just put your hand around the arrow and hold it, which beats having it loose in your hand or on the string for safety wise. So there you go, Broadhead sheath. Happy hunting.